Man here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. You know, when people talking about this Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. talking, when people say, well, one fighter is ducking the other fighter, man, I'm just not subscribing from that notion. I always put this at the feet of the handlers of these fighters. And I think it's just a whole bunch of polished shit that's stopping the fight. When you listen to both sides, it's crystal clear what's holding up this fight, man. Crystal freaking clear. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. You want Bob Arum to put this fight on pay-per-view at the end of the day because he knows he can't put this fight on ESPN because the amount of money that both fighters is going to want is going to be too much for the budget that he's been given by ESPN. And then you got on the and basically Bob Arum wants this fight on pay-per-view. And then on the other side with Errol Spence Jr., who does not have or is not signed to a promoter. The PBC side does not have the budget to put this fight on neither. And on top of that, it's like he doesn't have anyone, I guess, willing to step up, if you will, to put the proper money on the line to make the fight a pay-per-view fight. And it's not so much that Terrence Crawford, clearly, I think Bob Arum would do it if he had found another partner to do it with. And I know people are going to say, well, Al Heyman is the advisor. He's not the promoter. Al Heyman's deal is for the PBC brand, not for a specific fighter. So at the end of the day, which promoter that Al Heyman works with on the PBC side is willing to step up and put the money to back Spence? Clearly, they want to build this thing a little more. Terrence Bud Crawford has already put the work in, if you will. 3-division world champion, totally undisputed, arguably pound for pound #1. But then on Errol Spence Jr.'s side, though he is a world champion, he has yet to get that one big fight here on American soil that can take him to the next stratosphere. Now, I don't put no blame at that of Errol Spence Jr. He can't get the other welterweights in the ring, clearly, right? I mean, just look at the news that we hear now about Showtime Sean Porter, fresh off winning that WBC title, right? We were told before the fight that it's already guaranteed. It's in the bag that Al Heyman is going to make this fight. But now we look at Sean Porter and he's saying, oh, well, the WBC has other business for me, which is totally bullshit. You know what I mean? Because we all know at the end of the day, unifications trumps mandatories. And according to Sean Porter, they have other business for him, which they're talking mandatories. At this present time, it hasn't been ordered by the WBC who Showtime Sean Porter should face. A lot of people saying, according to articles that are out today, it could be possibly Ugas. But then again, Errol Spence Jr. can possibly fight Ugas too because he's rated #2 in the IBF. So we just don't know at this present moment. But why ain't we talking unification is the grand question. What is going on in that side? See, Al Heyman advises both of these fighters, but he can't, I guess, force both of the fighters in the ring, I would think, unless he can find the money. Now, when it's totally in-house and it could be a PBC fight, you know, the money can be put down to change these fighters' minds. But I don't see that effort underway. At least if it was, then I think these fighters would have took, I think the fight could have happened. Danny Garcia said if he would have won, he wanted $10 million. Would he have gotten the $10 million from that side of the tracks? Don't know. Clearly, Showtime Sean Porter, listening to with his father, Kenny Porter, how they talking, oh, we only want to fight once next year. Oh, Sean is not going to be fighting until he's 40. These are money calls. These are screams for money. We want to get paid if we're going to basically face Errol Spence Jr. So Al Heyman, fresh off signing this deal with Fox and Showtime, they say he has the biggest yearly budget now amongst anybody. Can he find his money? Because Errol Spence Jr. needs that type of fight, period. And without that type of fight, to get the casuals talking, to get everybody really buzzing on this dude, it's going to be hard for them to come together for a pay-per-view fight. The reason that Pacquiao and Mayweather were able to do it because they were at the height of their popularity. The height of their popularity. And they didn't want to waste their moment. Well, they didn't. Both sides came together because both sides were able to find the money at the end of the day. So that's the grand question. We can't be reading headlines about these entities signing all about for all of this money and these streaming deals and all of this stuff, but they don't want to put the proper money to make the super big fights. I wouldn't even be surprised. I mean, I know I'm from the outside looking in, but I'm a boxing fan. But even if it takes PBC to take a loss in a fight with Errol Spence versus a Sean Porter or Errol Spence versus Keith One-Time Thurman, the money should be put down on the floor. Just to, like Al Heyman did originally with his PBC brand, invested all of that money just so he can get deals like he got today. Why ain't they overly investing in Errol Spence Jr.? They're paying him a good purse from what we seen from the Carlos Ocampo fight, right? Well, why can't they put enough money up for a pay-per-view? Or to put enough money up to lure one of the other champions into the ring? That was for Carlos Ocampo, a loyalty pledge from what a lot of people said, right? So why ain't they putting this same type of bread, if not more, whatever these other fighters, Al got it, right? How much does it hurt the PBC budget? So they got to get him a big fight. They got to raise his stock. You look at the Canelo Triple G thing, right? At the end of the day, people may say, Triple G's numbers in the past wasn't all that. Well, Canelo was the star. Canelo was the star. He brings certain amount of numbers. But one thing I do know, HBO has did a very good job at constantly showing Gennady Golovkin, constantly putting a spotlight on Gennady Golovkin. I can go next door to my neighbor. I can talk to my homeboys and say, yo, you know who Triple G is? Just the name Triple G is a marketing tool. Do you know who Triple G is? Yeah, man, we know who Triple G is, man. He be knocking out everybody. That's what people would tell you. Oscar and them knew that. It didn't translate into pay-per-view buys in this climate of streaming and us doing what we do. You know how we do. We ain't trying to pay for everything. So in this climate, for Gennady Golovkin to hit certain numbers that he did hit, yo, they not the worst. They not the best by far. You know what I'm saying? But that's what got to happen with Errol Spence Jr. And it cannot happen unless he gets fights that everybody wants to see. Keith Thurman would have been the perfect fight. But however, I feel, man, I guess maybe they're feeling like, yo, if we give these fighters this type of money, we don't know when we're going to get them back in the ring. You gotta know how Thurman do. He get that kind of money, Thurman ghosts. Ain't no telling what that. Sean Porter may check out, and that's it. They may be trying to get a couple more fighters out of these dudes, fights out of these dudes. And if you give them that big money, well, y'all see how they talking. They don't want to be fighting till they 40. They want to get out of boxing as soon as possible and with enough to take care of their families. So maybe that's the danger of giving them that money. But something got to be done because Errol Spence Jr.'s stock has to rise a little bit more. Us diehards, us YouTubers, us people that watch the sport day in and day out, we know exactly who Errol Spence Jr. is. And some even people that were originally against Errol Spence Jr. that he was won over with his performances. We all know who he is. But we are not just enough, I guess, to do a pay-per-view. I'm guessing because they haven't done it. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I really do believe that if somebody came to Bob Arum and say, hey, man, we'll put that money up to put this on pay-per-view. Bob Arum can then take this fight off of ESPN. He ain't got to worry about ESPN. They could do a top-ranked pay-per-view or whatever the case may be. Now, between the promoter splits and all that other jazz, that's beyond me. But I just know the money got to be in the pot. And that's what it all comes down to. But like I said before, man, fighters like Showtime Sean Porter taking the position that he taking. I mean, I understand it's a bargaining tool. He'd rather go to the WBC. We got to listen to what they're talking about. It's mandatory. I get that. But it's all bargaining at the end of the day. The only concern I'm worried about, and what scares me about this whole situation, is that if Keith one time Thurman does hold too true to his word and say, yo, man, I'm going back for my old title, where does that put Errol Spence Jr. for a big fight? You know what I mean? Those are the golden questions. Those are the real reason that this fight ain't happening. It's all about the money. That's the type of talk we all hate to hear, I know, but that's the truth. In my opinion, that's what it is. Where is the money going to come from to get this fight onto pay-per-view? Because Bob Arum wants to make money too. You know what I mean? Putting a fight like this on ESPN not only puts a hole in his budget real bad, but he can't really profit off it neither because there's a lot of rules that don't apply because it ain't fully his show. They want this money. They want the total bag. And if they want to take Terrence Bud Crawford, put him in there with a risky fighter like Errol Spence Jr., then guess what? They got to get that bag. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, unfortunately. So we'll see. So to the next video, Main Man, Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Twitter, Made Man 511. Facebook, Main Man, Made Man Boxing Forum. Google Plus, Main Man, Made Man. Well, I mean, the good thing is that as long as these two fighters just doing all this trash talk like they doing, you know, the people kind of got upset how Spence was at the podium last weekend and talking all this jazz, but that's good. That's good. That is, if he can't get the fighters in the ring to raise his profile, the most he can do is just talk the trash to kind of raise interest into this fight. Maybe it'll get to a level with the fans of after all the trash talk that more people would engage, would engage into the conversation. So that's the only strategy that they can do for right now. Unless Al Heyman and the PBC model get Spence some big fights here on American soil. And that can raise his profile faster than any trash talk. If he knocks out a Sean Porter, if he knocks out a Danny Garcia, if he knocks out a Keith Thurman, man, everybody will be talking. Period. So to the next video. Peace out.